Sexual bullying is a peculiarly poisonous and pernicious form of bullying. It goes to the heart of every pupil's self-efficacy, their sense of themselves and their self-worth.
It's vital that we define sexual bullying. It's vital that we name it and that schools recognise it, and that we don't leave it to children to have to tell us about something that, quite frankly, is embarrassing, distressing, and the last thing they want to be talking about out loud.
The research that is starting to be done on sexual bullying is showing that it's very highly prevalent in schools today, and that the majority of young people have been a victim to it or witnessed it. We don't want to be going down the route where we see every sexual interaction between young people as, potentially problematic. So really, I would argue that the distinction there is around power and around the unwantedness of the behaviour.
My name is Leonie, and I work for a charity called Teen Boundaries UK. And what I do is I come into schools and I talk to girls and boys such as yourself about sexual bullying. First of all, I'd like to start off with just the word slag. Right, when I say the word slag to you, what would you think?
Slag.
Stop out.
Sleep around. Girls.
Right, so we've got girls. What else?
Short skirt.
Somebody said slut.
Pregnant. I said slut. Sex.
Sex.
Maybe.
Short skirt.
Short skirt.
Stocking. Yeah. Puffy boots.
OK, anything else?
Gives it out easy. Stop outs. Promiscuous.
We got stop out.
OK.
Prostitute.
Prostitute. Would you say that anybody you know in your school is a slag?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But how old are they?
15. Sometimes younger.
OK, and boys, do the boys like that girl?
Yeah.
Do you think in some way she's sort of powerful?
Yeah.
In her over the boys. Yeah.
Over the boys. When you label someone a slag, you are really isolating them. It's the same as in racism. You say, oh, that person's just a black person or whatever. They're going to be this. And you're not really giving that person a chance.
They're basically asking for it.
You think they're asking for it?
Yeah. If you're going to go and sleep round, you expect people to talk about you.
Yeah, but can you understand why she might be doing that? It's trying to sort of just put yourself in that girl's shoes.
But that's the complete wrong thing to do if she's doing it.
So what would you say you've seen or experienced?
When boys say stuff about girls' tits, like how big or small they are.
And it's that quite hurtful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, they walk around, they say fried eggs or they go melons, and you're like, right.
Yeah. Why would you say guys say things like that to girls?
Act hard in front of their friends. Make them feel big about themselves, and when they're really not.
Let's say these two boys were walking along the corridor and there was two girls at the back or whatever, and they started going, oh, look at your tits, oh, they're so small, disgusting, or fried eggs. Would you guys turn around to them and say, shut up, stop speaking to her like that?
No.
Probably not.
No.
Why not?
No, they'll just laugh.
Yeah.
Because that's bullying, though.
Yeah, but if you say something, then you'll probably end up having it ripped out of you.
But can you see, by the fact that you never sort of stand up to anyone and you never say that's wrong, you're just letting it happen? You might not think, like, when I came in and I said sexual bullying, you probably think, what have I got to do with sexual bullying? But actually, by the fact that you take part in things like that and you just let it happen, you're kind of as bad as the person who's doing it.
If you look at the content of a lot of these magazines that are arguably targeted at young adolescent boys, just putting aside the sexual explicitness of these magazines, they're communicating messages that are saying that women are sexual objects and that they are actually of not much value. They can be denigrated and belittled. We're also seeing a rise in the amount of pornography that is available and that is being viewed by young people. From the age of around 11, young people are on average watching pornography for at least about half an hour a week, if not more.
I didn't actually realise that calling someone a slag was actually like going to affect someone that much.
Sitting there talking about it today, I never thought about it as much as I am like now. Like, when people say it, you don't really think of it, but now because you've talked about it, you can kind of see that it's really bad.
Sometimes I do go along with it. Like, you don't realise you're actually bullying someone. Like, if someone said it in class, I'd probably find it funny myself. But you don't realise you're actually hurting someone's feelings.
In the lesson, they said that it's girls that feel insecure about themselves and that have happened stuff in the past, and I think that's really true. They do things with boys because their insecurities and stuff.
If there's a girl on her own and a bunch of boys walk up to her and then they start grabbing her tits or grabbing her ass and she doesn't want it, they just carry on and don't really have much remorse about it after.
It was really genuinely nice to see a real mixed group of kids be able to interact so positively, and still be kind of typical teenagers, if you like, and still have their laugh and still have their joke, but actually genuinely take it serious and genuinely get stuck in and be interested.
A leopard doesn't change its spots overnight.
No.
But at least you can say that you've told them the right information.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because otherwise they're just going out there kind of blank.
You sometimes think, oh, they've probably heard it all before. They genuinely haven't really been ever caught up or called up on these behaviours. It's just I was a little bit amazed about that, and just adds to the fact how important programmes like this are.
Back in Scotland, Pat Latimer and Shona Bruce want to find out what pupils think.
Mrs Latimer and I are involved in a group, a meeting in school, which is about rewriting Dumbarton Academy's anti-bullying policy. And what we're interested just now to hear is what you think that schools should do about sexual bullying.
Some girls do stuff with boys and all that, so they kind of make a name for themselves, but I don't think anyone should be called a slut, but they do make a name for themselves.
But if we lived in an environment where there wasn't any kind of sexual bullying or sexist bullying, would that happen? Would girls be targeted and boys were left alone for that kind of behaviour?
I think the main reason that girls get called sluts is because if two girls fall out, then the other person's going to immediately look for a flaw in their old friend, and then maybe if they talk to boys or if they're friendly with boys, then that's going to be the first flaw that they find, so that's going to be the next name that they're going to get called.
Right, so it's important that people realise that we're going to take it seriously, isn't it? That we are going to do something.
What we'd like to do is kind of change the way that people talk to each other. If someone is being targeted and there's rumours being spread about them and they're being bullied in this way, should something be done about it?
I think any type of bullying at someone isn't acceptable, so whether it be sexual bullying or any other type of bullying, they should be taken out and should be talked to about it, and maybe their parents should get phoned and things because it's serious.
So talk to the pupil who's bullying to try and sort it out in school, do you think?
Yeah, that does work then.
Talk to parents about it maybe, so to see if they could change it. Quite often sexual bullying gets ignored. So we're not trying to say sexual bullying is much worse than any other type of bullying. What we're saying is sexual bullying is there as well, and it also needs something done about it.
We know it's happening. We can give lots of evidence to the fact that it's happening. And what we need is schools to build that into their anti-bullying policies. We need them to build it into PSHE. We need them to build it into the whole culture of the school.
In conjunction with the local council, Dumbarton Academy are rewriting their anti-bullying policy to include sexual bullying for the very first time.
I completed collecting the staff questionnaires, and we really asked them very similar questions to what we had asked the pupils.
Is there a sense coming through, do you think, in the questionnaires that teachers think it is important, that this is something worth challenging?
Very much so. Some teachers have felt that it's something that's concerned them in the past, is that there perhaps aren't clear guidelines about how to tackle this kind of incidents in the classroom.
As well as becoming a policy for Dumbarton Academy, the council hopes to roll out the strategy across the authority and put sexual bullying on the agenda in all the local schools. The next day, Shona's heading back to the academy.
Today's a really important day because it's the first day that the first time I'm going to be in Dumbarton Academy doing training with teachers and with pupil and family support staff. I don't really think there's any point in just going in, doing the sexual bullying classes and leaving again. There has to be something sustainable left behind. Once I've been into a school and I've done sexual bullying classes, the chances are that there could be an increase of the amount of incidents of sexual bullying that are reported, not because there'll be an increase in the incidents, but because young people will be more aware of what sexual bullying is and the fact that they don't need to put up with it and there's something they can do about it. So I need to be talking to teachers about the possibility of that. And sometimes that can make schools nervous.
This will be the first time that Shone has had the chance to address teachers directly and hear their concerns. She hopes that this training will work in conjunction with the students' sexual bullying lessons as a whole school approach to tackling this issue.
So what causes sexual bullying? Use of gendered and sexualised language, slut and whore and all these kinds of words that just fall off people's tongues and they're not really thinking about what it means, what exactly a slut is.
Quite a few of them don't understand what they're actually saying. They don't realise what they're saying until you're asking them to explain it and then they backtrack it.
I find that one of the hardest things. I'm not sure how to deal with when you hear... I mean, kids are constantly calling one another a gay boy. Now, it's almost as if that's an accepted way to speak about other kids.
I've challenged things in the classroom, like using the term gay, for instance. But it's like a relentless tide that just keeps coming at you. They keep using it, even though you challenge it, it still comes back. So it's difficult to know. Sometimes you feel like, oh, right, I've had enough. And you just let it go. But that doesn't seem right either.
How do you think you could get round that by challenging that language?
I think that's a whole school thing. It can't just be targeting one class or one group of pupils. It has to be a whole school thing where everybody buys in. There's a consensus, there's repercussions, there's an understanding. What does it mean? What's it about?
If 1 or 2 or 3 teachers started challenging it around the same time, it would make people notice.
The buzzword just now in my classroom has been, oh, missed, he's a pedo. And it's because they're now starting to get boyfriends and girlfriends, and scarily, it sounds like they're becoming sexually active. I think it's showing me that pupils do have lots of questions that need answered. But you have to get the right people to answer the questions and not necessarily individual classroom teachers.
It used to be 4th year, 5th year before you would deal with those sort of things. Nowadays, year 2, 3, and I think that they really do have to be aimed at.
I find it quite concerning that young girls actually, it's like notches in their bedposts that a lot of the really young ones are wanting to say that they're sexually active, and sometimes when you hear little snippets of things in the corridor, you wonder if they're actually exaggerating and lying about it. It's almost like they're part of a peer group if they have had sex or they're sexually active. And that concerns me a lot.
And could that maybe be linked to things like the Pussycat Dolls and Girls Aloud
and
things
quite,
like that?
See what you're saying, sexualising everybody from a very young age. Yeah, I think that a lot of the messages get mixed, and I think it's very destructive for a lot of them as well. It really is.
It's really important that teachers inform themselves about sexual bullying so that they feel they're clear about what sexual bullying is and they have thought about how they would go about challenging it in schools. But they need to be able to see the links between sexual bullying and things like domestic abuse and rape and sexual assault.
A school which really doesn't tackle those issues is a failing school. And it's failing because it doesn't actually get the best out of its pupils. I know of no pupil who does brilliantly when they're not confident, when they're undermined, when they're worried about themselves, when they're worried about the next insult or the next piece of abuse coming round the corner.
This is a human rights issue. Young people have the right to feel safe in schools and not to be in fear of whether they're going to be disrespected on a regular basis.